Men's and women's soccer remain undefeated in the River States Conference. Volleyball and cross country continue their season. A huge non-conference matchup between Mount Lebo and Upper St. Clair. The Bills take down the Dolphins and Damian Lillard leaves Portland. And what should we expect for the Pirates going into the 2024 season? It's time to come on down to the Pioneer Sideline. Hello everyone and welcome back to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Natalia Hillen. It was another great week for Point Park soccer. The Point Park University men's soccer team traveled to IU East this past Saturday and took the dub back home to Pittsburgh 1-0. The Pioneers had a 20-4 shot advantage throughout the entire game. The game got a little rough, with IU East getting 5 yellow cards and got 7 fouls in the second half. All penalties led to Philip Harder scoring a penalty kick with 68:35 on the clock. Point Park's goalkeeper Edward Garcia saved IU East 3 shots on the net, and Point Park defenders helped with breaking up passes and winning battles in the air. IU East goalkeeper Peter Lampro made 6 big saves in the second half and 10 total throughout the entire game. After Saturday's win, the Pioneers are 3-0 in the River States Conference and overall have 6 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws. The Pioneers' next game is at home on Saturday, October 7th against St. Mary of the Woods. Make sure to come out and support the men's team as they have another RSC matchup. Good luck, Pioneers. Switching gears over to the Point Park women's soccer team as they had another big conference matchup against IU East this past Saturday. The Pioneers took the win back home, securing a 2-1 final score. In the 15th minute, Point Park's Lorena Mantez scored a goal, making the score 1-0. In the first half, each team got 6 shots, and at the half, the game was tied 1-1. But in the second half, Point Park was in complete control of the game, with a 9-1 shot advantage and 7 corner kicks. In the 67th minute, Point Park's Paula Sol got a tally, making the final score 2-1. The women's team has 2 big RSC matchups this week. The first game is this Thursday, October 5th versus IU Kokomo, and the second is this Saturday, October 7th against St. Mary of the Woods. Make sure to come out and support the men's and women's teams at Highmark Stadium. Good luck, Pioneers. After the break, we have volleyball, cross country, and our high school football game of the week. Stay tuned.
Hey.
Good evening and welcome to News Night. My name is Craig Verkowski.
Tonight, we'll cover all your international, national, and local news.
Australia is one of the most biodiverse countries on the planet.
Over 8,000 items are to be auctioned off at Pittsburgh International Airport on October 22nd.
Last Thursday, the House Committee investigating the January 6th attack chose to subpoena former President Donald Trump.
All this and more
Coming up on News Night.
Welcome back. Now we go to Matt Palangi to give us a rundown on how volleyball has played this past week. Matt?
Thanks, Nat. Pioneers volleyball started off their busy week with a home game versus Washington and Jefferson Presidents. This game was back and forth, action-packed throughout the whole matchup. In the first set, the Pioneers trailed through most of it, and some costly service errors led to a close set loss, 25-21. In set 2, Point Park led most of the set, while the Presidents came back fighting throughout. The Pioneers would win this set 25-20. In set 3, both teams went back and forth with diving plays and thunderous kills. Point Park would fall just short, 27-25. Set 4 was Point Park's to win. In this must-win set, they held on to their lead and won 25-21. In the deciding set 5, Point Park would come just close but not close enough and lose the set 16-14. Final score would be 3-2 in favor of the Presidents. Eden McElhaney and Amanda Contois were human highlight reels, with McElhaney ending with 18 kills and Contois ending with 17. Ashlyn Gulikowski and Elise Wallace were setting up their teammates for success all night long, ending with a whopping 22 assists for Gulikowski and an amazing 26 for Elise Wallace. Point Park continued their week on the road with a game versus St. Mary of the Woods. All 3 sets were hard fought, but all 3 went in favor to St. Mary Woods. Set 1 was 25-22, set 2 was 25-17, and set 3 was 25-20. Julia Falador has been great since coming back from injury. In this matchup, she led the team in kills with 10. Gulikowski yet again shined in the assist column with 17. The last game of the week was a matchup at IU Kokomo. After a close first set loss with IU Kokomo winning 25-19, this Kokomo squad was just too much in the next 2 sets, winning set 2 25-9 and set 3 25-13. This would end as a sweep, with the Pioneers being on the losing end. Amanda Contois led the team in kills with 7, and Gulikowski continues to look like the John Stockton of volleyball, ending with 18 assists. That's all I have for this week's Pioneers Volleyball Report. Now we'll send things to Anna Eisman to recap us on the cross-country team's recent trip to Kentucky.
Thanks, Matt. The men's and women's cross-country teams were back in action this weekend. They took a trip to Kentucky, competing in the Live in Louisville Classic on Saturday amongst teams from all over the country. With several NAIA teams present, including 4 from River State's conference, the men's team placed 17th out of 48 teams total. The Pioneers ran an 8,000-meter course, and 6 men came in under 28 minutes. Junior Ramiro Unluque led the men's team, finishing with a personal best time of 26:52 for a 45th placement out of 389 runners, while freshmen Luke McKenna and Joshua Goslin came in just over 27 minutes. Yannick Windelbin's final time of 28:16 kept him in scoring, while teammate Jordan Cullen finished just a bit earlier at 28:08. Switching gears to the women's team, as they placed 24th out of 50 schools to finish just ahead of the 4 other River State's conference teams that also competed. The women ran a 5K, putting up an average time of 21 minutes and 7 seconds, with Ali Plazio leading the Pioneers with a time of 19:50, placing her 37th out of 400 runners. Jana Schmid contributed a time of 20:22, putting her at 63rd, while 3 other Pioneers ran a new personal records at the meet. Those included Olivia Hare at 21:21, Sophia Lee Hauser at 21:44, and Karen Rios at 22:18. Both men and women will race this weekend on October 7th at Shenley Park in the Carnegie Mellon Invitational. Good luck to those competing. Now we go to Ben Tenuta to cover our Whitfield football game of the week. Ben?
Thanks, Anna. It's week 5, and we're kicking things off with an exciting matchup between Upper St. Clair and Mount Lebanon in a non-conference matchup. In the first quarter, Mason Chambers from Upper St. Clair made an impressive 79-yard touchdown run, giving the Panthers an early 7-0 lead. Mason delivered an exceptional performance, scoring 3 more touchdowns and rushing for an incredible 202 yards on just 16 carries. The Panthers win big, defeating their South Hills rival Mount Lebo with a final score of 42-27. On Saturday, it was an undefeated showdown between 2 Class 1A schools, Bishop Canevin and Fort Cherry. The story of the night was Fort Cherry's sophomore quarterback, who only completed 5 of his 7 passes for 171 yards, while rushing for 271 yards and 7 total touchdowns, leading the Rangers to a nail-biting win over the Crusaders, 48-41. This week we travel to Harrison City as Penn Trafford hosts their Class 5A rival, Gateway. You can find the highlights here next week. I'm Ben Tenuta. Now back to you, Nat.
Thank you, Ben, and big thank you to Matt and Anna. After the break, we break down everything going on locally and nationally. Make sure you stay tuned. Welcome back. Now I'll be sending things over to Nick Shermito for all things locally. Nick?
Thanks, Nat. The Pirates took on the Miami Marlins for their final series for the 2023 season, losing the first two matchups by the scores of 4-3 and 7-3 respectively. However, the Buccos found a way to win one final time this season as they beat the Marlins 3-0 in their final game of the regular season. The Buccos finished their season with a 76-86 record. As for the Pens, they traveled to Nova Scotia, the home of Captain Sidney Crosby and defenseman Ryan Graves, to take on the Ottawa Senators in preseason action. The Pens unfortunately had a poor showing, as they fell 3-0 to the Sens. Ridley Gregg, Brady Tkachuk, and Tim Stützle scored for the Senators, while goalie Jonas Korpisalo had a 40-save shutout. The Penguins will be in action on Wednesday night at home against the Detroit Red Wings. After that, the next time the Penguins take the ice at home will be opening night against Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks. Lastly, the Riverhounds took on Tulsa FC in their final regular season home match of the year. The Riverhounds would get the win 3-2, which tied the franchise record for the most home wins in a season with 13. Albert Dikwa and Joe Farrell scored for the Hounds, while Keegan Hughes and Philip Goodwin scored for Tulsa. The fans also set an attendance record on September 30th at Highmark Stadium with 6,045 fans in attendance to watch the Hounds play. The Riverhounds will play a first-round playoff game at home, with the date and time still to be announced. Now, let's hear from the one and only Steelers fan 7 himself, John Mayer, as he recaps this week's matchup down south against the Texans. John?
Thanks, Nick. It was a rough day in Houston this past Sunday for the Steelers, as Pittsburgh was blown out by the Texans by a score of 30-6. The Steelers struggled both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, as Texans rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud lit up Pittsburgh's secondary to the tune of 306 yards and 2 touchdowns, both to receiver Nico Collins. The T.J. Watt-led pass rush was neutralized the entire game by a backup Houston offensive line, as the team recorded 0 sacks, and as for the offense, they were only able to muster up 225 total yards to go along with only 6 points on the day. To add injury to insult, Steelers starting quarterback Kenny Pickett left the game with a knee injury, but early reports state that the injury isn't significant enough for Pickett to miss much, if any, time moving forward. Pat Freiermuth also left the game with a hamstring injury, and his status for next week's game is doubtful, while Steelers rookie first-round left tackle Broderick Jones is in line to make his first career start, with starter Dan Moore out with a knee injury. Next up for the Steelers, a home matchup with Lamar Jackson and the division rival Ravens, as first place in the AFC North will officially be up for grabs, with Baltimore sitting at 3-1 with Pittsburgh right behind them at 2-2. That's all from me this week. Make sure to follow @SteelersFan7 to stay regularly updated on all things Steelers throughout the remainder of the season. With that in mind, let's hear from Jake Levesky and the rest of the sports world. Jake?
Thanks, Sean. This week in the NFL featured an explosive battle between the undefeated Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. In the matchup of the week, Josh Allen and receiver Stephon Diggs put on a flawless performance, connecting for 3 touchdowns and 120 yards to lead the Bills to a 48-20 victory. Meanwhile, in the NFC, the Eagles and 49ers remained undefeated as running back Christian McCaffrey had a career day, putting up 4 touchdowns and 177 scrimmage yards, exposing the Cardinals' defense. The Commanders gave the Eagles a run for their money on the road, scoring a game-tying touchdown on the last play of regulation. The Eagles answered in overtime courtesy of a 54-yard field goal from kicker Jake Elliott to win with a score of 34-31. The final game in Week 4 displayed the Seahawks dominating the Giants in the Big Apple, sacking Daniel Jones a total of 10 times as the Giants' struggles continued. The college football Heisman favorite Caleb Williams put on a show against Colorado, and coach Deion Sanders with 6 passing touchdowns and 403 yards to lead the Trojans to a 48-41 victory. Notre Dame bounced back this week with a win of their own over the 19th-ranked Blue Devils thanks to a 30-yard rushing touchdown from Audric Estime to close out the game. To finish up, NBA star Damian Lillard got his wish granted by getting traded to the Milwaukee Bucks as things were not working out in Portland. Lillard felt as if Portland was not a championship-caliber team. Lillard, now paired with 2-time MVP winner Giannis Antetokounmpo, should make for some exciting basketball, and the Bucks a favorite to win it all. Back to you, Nat.
Thanks, guys. After the break, we discuss Pirates baseball and their future in the case of the week. Don't go anywhere.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back.
Welcome back to
Daybreak. Chicken Guy opened in PPG Place on Monday.
The bridge would open before the 1 year marks to check out the 20th annual gingerbread display.
Share with you this week's Ray of Sunshine.
We are still somehow hanging around in the playoff.
It gives Georgia Democrats some hold onto the governing body.
200,000 people still in harm's way.
This weather is perfect for those cozy nights indoors.
Welcome back to Case of the Week. This week I'm joined by Joey, Ryan, and making his sideline debut, Peyton. We are going to discuss the Pirates and what we saw from them this year and what changes they need to make going into the 2024 season. So the first topic of the discussion is, what do we think about McCutchen and his future with the Pirates?
Good question. So I think one of the main things is Kutch going to come back? I read something today that's saying Ben Charrington was talking to Kutch within the foreseeable future about what his return is. He's had a partial Achilles tear. His stats were so-so this year. I would love to see him back, just veteran mentality in the locker room. But, I mean, who knows if he'll play a full 162-game season. He didn't this year, so I'd love to see him back, but who knows.
I think it was just awesome having him back just because he's like an icon with Pittsburgh and the Pirates. Ryan, what do you think?
I feel the same way as Joey. I would love to have Kutch back. Now, is it going to happen? Probably not, because, again, he tore his Achilles and he's up there in age. I mean, it'd be nice to have him. I would love to have him come back. I think he wants to play a full season back in where he got drafted from. But is it going to happen? Probably not.
Yeah.
I think Andrew McCutchen will be back in a Pirates uniform next year. He really wants to be here. He could go anywhere. There's a lot of teams that would love to have him, but he's made it clear he wants to stay in Pittsburgh. I think he's good friends with the owner. I think they're going to get something done. He's obviously not the player he used to be, but he means so much to the organization, and I think he meant so much to the clubhouse this year, and that's why we saw a little more success from the Pirates this season.
What is something that the Pirates need to do and change from this past season to carrying on into next year?
I think one of our key issues is pitching. I mean, we have a solid couple guys, Mitch Keller, Yohan Oviedo. Paul Skeens is coming up, first overall pick last year. He's supposed to pitch this year. I think we should really look into some off-season acquisitions. Jack Flaherty is a free agent. Luis Severino from the Yankees is also going to be a free agent. And I mean, I'm a big Trevor Bauer guy, so I'd love to see him in the city of Pittsburgh in the black and gold.
I agree with you too, Billy. I would love to have Bauer on our starting roster. Him, Mitch Keller, and then if Bob and I are going to actually spend money this free agency to go pick up another acquisition in the free agency, if this season just relies on the pitching for this upcoming year, and if they bring up Paul and they actually spend money in the off season.
Do you think they're going to spend the money?
I would love to.
They were talking about it. That they were going to try to get some, spend the money and get some new.
They just got. I would love them to spend the money.
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either.
Being a Pirates fan for my entire life, I don't think.
Why now? Why are they saying that they might spend the money to make changes? Why?
I mean, like I said, I don't think we're going to spend the money. We just have a lot of younger talent. They don't call them the Young Bucks for a reason, They're all young. a lot of our starters this year were either in the minors or rookies within the last year or two. So I think if we spend money at least on pitching, which some of the guys that I listed might not go for too much, we still have a couple contract extensions we might have to hit with Bednar and Mitch. But I mean, I think we're going to really stay internally with a lot of our younger guys and I think build up a really great team.
Peyton, what do you think about?
Well, the pressure is on General Manager Ben Sherrington and Manager Derek Shelton to get the job done next year. You have to be at least close to a postseason contender next year. I mean, this is year 5 of the rebuild. They have a lot of nice pieces on offense, but the starting pitching has not been what they wanted it to be. Luis Ortiz fell off the map, Roansy Contreras fell off the map, and Quinn Priester did not look good. So you have 2 great guys in Mitch Keller and Johan Oviedo, but if I'm Ben Sherrington, I'm saying, look, Mr. Nutting, we have to go out and spend money this year. We have to go out, no 1-year, $3 million contracts. We have to go out and get a starting pitcher for 2 or 3 years for 50 or 60 million that can go out every 5 days and be productive. And
do you have any faith in Priester? Like, I mean, he didn't pitch too terribly well, but I think we still have faith, and Roansy's still in the works.
Well, there was so much hype around him, and I mean, he was awful. I mean, there's no way else to put it. Now, he's a rookie, and I think he could get better, but I think they kind of rushed him up because his minor league numbers were not excellent, and I think he may need a little more time in the minor leagues to truly become a major league pitcher.
That makes sense.
Well, we're just young. I mean, that's been our problem. What now for 30 years?
That's been a thing for years.
It's always been a thing. We're young. We just need veterans, veteran pitchers. We got, even if we get a veteran pitcher who can take the hometown cut on their paycheck, we need to get these guys in to help these young guys. Because we got #1 draft picks coming through our system right now. Even Paul Skeens, who can be in Indianapolis by this time up here in Indianapolis by this time this year, or up in Pittsburgh by this time next year. We need the veteran in our rotation.
They don't want to spend the money on it. They're not. I don't know. We'll have to see with how everything goes. But last question, why do you guys think that they did better that they were projected to do? Like, what were some main key points?
Kutch, the young bucks, and I think Mitch Keller really stepped up this year. I mean, he was an all-star. I think those are probably some of the main key components that really helped us get past our 60.5 win mark that we were benched at the beginning of the season.
Well, it was definitely fun to watch the Pirates this season. We will see them next season. Thank you, guys. With all that speculation, that's all the time that we have this week. Be sure to join us next week at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.